Yes, welcome to New Jersey, gentlemen. We are so happy to have you here. Mark, let's start with you. Lieutenant Winslow, retired. First of all, happy birthday to you. I know 9/11 is your birthday. And there's a significance to that because on that date, you had taken the day off from Port Authority Police. How did you hear about what happened, and where did you then go in the immediate moments after the Twin Tower was hit?
Well, Jim, I was actually working that day up at the George Washington Bridge.
Okay.
Somebody had called out sick, and I was sort of a specialized force that went to different locations to cover people who were out sick and on vacation. So it happened, 9/11 happened. I was talking to my wife, and I said, I heard something, I could hear the blast. And I looked out the window of my office at the George Washington Bridge, and we're sort of on an elevated roadway. And I could see the trade center burning. Immediately made some calls, mobilized some persons, police officers, and sent them down there. So I was up there for a good 12 hours that day.
And then you were there for 12 hours, and then you stayed. I mean, after the horrible attack, you then were part of the cleanup there at World Trade Center. How long were you there, and what do you remember from those days?
Uh, when I was up at the bridge that day, they mobilized everybody, the whole job, people on vacation, people who were off. And so the next day, I got down to ground zero around 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was told I was being assigned there for a lengthy period of time. I did not know I would be there for a year and a half. I was there every day till May, and then sporadically after May, after the site closed, but there was still work to do. So I was down there till I retired in 2003.
Oh, we talked a little bit about you were there every day for a year and a half. Your health is okay, right? At this point,
some minor things
okay.
we're just looking at, but everything is okay. Yes.
We actually met in those days after 9/11 down at the site, at the pile, as it was known. And there we are, Mark, when we were a lot younger.
Yes.
Less gray hair, underneath the towers. Talk to us about where we were at that point.
You had shown an interest. You wanted to come down to the site, Jim, and I took you underneath where there were parking lots, underground parking lots, PATH train station down there. There's a subway station, some stores, restaurants. There's a whole mall in the trade center also. We showed you part of that.
I remember glasses still on the counter at the restaurants, bottles of beverages still out. It was just frozen in time.
Yeah. I remember that too. So, Officer Lovecutt, to explain how you from Sheboygan got involved here in 9/11.
We got involved shortly after the attack. We started a fundraiser for all the first responders who had died. It was the weekend after the event. And at that time, we did a brat fry, which is very traditional for Wisconsin.
A brat, like as in bratwurst,
as in
right?
bratwurst.
For those East Coasters who aren't
Right.
familiar, right?
Right.
Okay.
And we, it started out was just going to be local, as in our police department. I was on the police department at that time for Sheboygan Police. And it expanded very rapidly to the entire county. So eventually, all the volunteer fire departments, all of the police departments, county sheriff, etc., started it, and then all of the grocery stores in the county gave food and condiments, etc., and we raised money for all the people who died that day that were in first responder roles at the time. We contacted the Port Authority Police Department, and they were able to get us all the names, and we were able to get personal checks written out for each family member that we had received their information about them, and that's how we started.
And you guys came to Ground Zero at a certain point to hand deliver those checks, right?
My wife and I, we came in December 18th, which that day was significant because that was the first day that the people who had been evacuated out of the area could move back in. And so we came on that first flight. We had a Port Authority officer pick us up at our hotel and take us down to Ground Zero. And then we gave the checks for the Port Authority officers and for the New York officers. Fire department representative came and gave the checks to the fire department
Hmm.
and ambulance personnel that died.
And Officer Gutowski, just tell us what you remember from those days of connecting with the New York first responders and officers.
It was it was definitely overwhelming. I guess to be invited to be a part of it. On the 6-month anniversary, we actually, half of us, there were 6 officers. We half flew and half drove, and we brought grills along, and we had a brat fry, a traditional brat fry for the workers
At Ground Zero,
at
right?
Ground Zero.
I think we have some pictures of that. I don't know if
Yeah,
we can throw them up
yeah.
for people
But
to see.
I got able to meet the officers and to actually experience, I guess, what they went through. It was humbling, I think, for me.
Can we get back to, you did some math, Mark, about the amount that was raised, and each family got an individual check for over $500 from the funds raised from your brat fries. So that equals out to over what?
It was over $200,000 that I realized that they had raised for the 343 firefighters, the 37 Port Authority police officers, the 23 New York City police officers that passed away.
By the way, this is the poster that you brought this morning. This is just the Port Authority officers who were lost.
And some other first responders that lost their lives that day. And that was a substantial amount of money. So I was very surprised and very happy that, there were people thinking about everybody down at Ground Zero.
Yeah, and I remember, Officer Lovka, the just tremendous outpouring of love and support at that time for first responders and firefighters and police. And there would be a fire truck that would go down the street in New York, and people would just be out on the street, applauding them. And here again, it was that goodwill in the days and months afterwards that I do feel as though we've gotten a little bit away from. Now, what are your thoughts 24 years later?
My thoughts are, I don't think people realize from the beginning. I didn't think people in other areas of the country realized how impactful it was and how much damage was actually done from the first day we were there till now. It's just so impressive, but yet we don't really think about it as much as we should.
Bob, why is it important for you to come back all these years later, every year, and see Lieutenant Winslow?
Well, it's just to see Lieutenant Winslow, but also to pay our respects. I mean, we feel like after after being here for the brat fry, that we actually feel like we were part of it. I guess it's just nice to come back and pay our respects.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, 24 years later, Officer Gutowski, about where we are?
It's, I guess if you're wondering, people, they said we'll never forget that. I think some have, and I think like Rick said, I don't think a lot of people realize the devastation, and we were here, we were a part of it. We were down in the pit, and we were here for the 1-year anniversary, and I felt special that I was able to be a part of it, but yet I don't think I deserve to be, because I was not a part of what actually happened.
But through your efforts, you helped so many of the families. You will go to Ground Zero later today? Right?
Yes, we will. Yes.
And that's something you do every year?
Every year.
After the ceremony is finished, then you go when it's
correct.
a little quieter?
Yes.
And where do you go there? Do you just look at the memorial? Do you go down into the museum? What do you do when you're there?
We'll go and at the reflective ponds. I mean, we'll just kind of stand and observe, and just I guess sit and just watch everybody, and just pay our respects.
And Mark, one of the things I like to think about on this day is some of the good, Allison, that came out of such a terrible tragedy, and the fact that we met as doing our jobs. You as a police officer, myself as a reporter, and 24 years later, we're still in touch. Our families know each other, and so that's some good that came out of something terrible, right?
Yeah, a lot of bad happened that day, but yes, there was a lot of connections with people all over the country. I've gotten numerous letters and people from all over the country that didn't even come down. I may have spoke to them. I may have given them a tour. I may have showed them something, and it's fabulous. Some of the letters that have sent me.
Jim, I'll tell you one thing that'll stick with me from this conversation. The vision of half of the Sheboygan Police Department driving across country with grills in
Isn't
their
that
car
isn't that
for the
amazing?
Brat Fest in New York. I mean, that's such a symbol of the camaraderie, you know, of police officers and of Americans that day.
Do you have a special recipe, by the way, for the brats? Do you first soak them in beer, for instance, or is there a magic
Well, they
Sauerkraut,
secret? Yeah,
mustard, what is it?
secret
Tell
see
us.
recipe.
we're not the sauerkraut type here. This is just a brat with the condiments on it, the double brat. You know, a hard roll. You know, so that those double brats it fills up the whole roll. But you put them in water first, then you cook them. And what we usually do is after they're off the grill, then they're in a pot with a little bit of beer.
Right.
But we tried that at Ground Zero, and Mark said no,
No alcohol.
No beer.
So no beer in the brat container at Ground Zero.
Have you had one,
Oh,
Allison? Have you enjoyed a
not the
brat?
I don't, maybe at some point, but I'm certainly tempted right now. I mean, is the grill happening today that I could rush down for?
Sorry.
They're off today.
Yeah.
I
Well
see. Got
deserved.
it.
Well deserved. And we really appreciate you coming in here to the diner to talk to us on such a very special and important day. And Allison, I know you know, we all join in saying thank you for your special effort just to do something from so far from the tri-state area and continuing to remember this special day. And Lieutenant Winslow, once again, happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for being here today.